What is up, Rockies fans? This is Purple Rose staff writer Mac Wilcox checking in once again, and I wanted to talk today about what it means to be a Rockies fan in the year 2023. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, it's the 30th anniversary of the Rockies franchise. This is their 30th year in existence. It's a big deal. It's a milestone event for many fans and for the franchise itself, and yet there's very little fanfare around. It doesn't feel very celebratory, does it? There's no fanfare planned at all. The team was a 90-plus loss team again in 2022 and look on the path to follow the same game plan again next year. And the Rockies did very little this past offseason to improve the team or really give any sort of direction as to what they're doing or where they're going. And so what does it mean for you and I to still follow this team in the year of 2023? What does that look like? And what can we do to still get something out of this franchise? So let's talk the most recent history. Before we go way back, let's talk what we've just seen. In 2022, the Rockies lost 94 games. That's a bottom five standing in the National League, and there's not a lot of reason to think that things are going to get any better next year or this year now in 2023. The Rockies made a bunch of offseason additions that are okay on paper and are pretty low risk, but they don't do a lot to instill confidence in fans that the Rockies are going to be very successful in this coming season. Brett Suter, Fernando Abad, Pierce Johnson, Matt Kiricidi, these are pitchers that the Rockies grabbed in this offseason that will probably help to a certain degree, that will do something to eat up some innings for this team, but there's nothing done that's going to make one think that the Rockies are going to contend in this next season. Well, there's a lot of reason to be excited about a team that could be potentially rebuilding. Is that what the Rockies are doing? Well, maybe. They've got a lot of young talent that we've all been excited about for a long time that are finally getting their opportunity at the big league level. Ezequiel Tovar, Elehuris Montero, Michael Toglia. These are names we've heard about for a very long time, and there might be a few more on the horizon as well. The Zach Veens and the Drew Romos of the world might be just a bit away from making their big league debuts. And so that's a very exciting prospect for us Rockies fans that have been following them along on the PERP rankings as well as the minor league coverage that Purple Row and other sites provide for a long time. But is that enough? Well, probably not. With respect to the players that I'm about to mention, names like Randall Grichuk and Daniel Bard and CJ Cron made a lot of sense to move at this past deadline, and none of them were. They all stayed around and are likely to be here, well, at least through this next season and probably beyond. Now, the Rockies also had players on the team in 2022 that would have made a lot of sense to move at the deadline, especially considering none of them are here anymore and the Rockies got nothing out of it. Very little show for their time in Colorado. Jose Iglesias, Alex Colomé, Chad Kuhl, Carlos Estevez, these are all players that are no longer on the Rockies roster. All of them were set to be free agents in the 2023 season, and the Rockies could have offered a qualifying offer or maybe done a trade at the deadline, and none of that happened. So once again, the Rockies are maybe saying, okay, we'll let the kids play, but at the same time, there's a lot of blocking and a lot of stopgaps in the meantime. I think people listening to this will agree that I would love to see Michael Toglia get a lot of first base time this coming season, but he's blocked by CJ Cron. Maybe he or Elehuris Montero can play some third base while Ryan McMahon's over there. Well, okay, what about the outfield? Well, Randy Grichuk, Jonathan Daza, Charlie Blackmon, and plenty other names that are going to be in contention are also kind of gumming that situation up. So the Rockies lack identity. Now again, this is nothing that you don't already know. If you're a fan of myself or the site in any way, this is all information that's not going to be new to you. What is going to be worth thinking about is what exactly it means to follow the team in 2023. I think it's safe to say that unfortunately they're unlikely to contend again this year. With the Dodgers only have gotten better, the Padres now going to have a full season of Fernando Tatis Jr. and Juan Soto and Manny Machado playing together. It might be their World Series to lose, and both the Giants and the Diamondbacks appear to be on the come-up. And the Rockies are stuck in the mud. Well, what does that mean as far as watching games in and out? Are there any storylines worth checking out? Well, there is still some reason to check out the team day in and day out. The rise of these young players that we've already discussed is going to be something to watch, especially getting full seasons out of names like Tovar and the others is going to be a big part of what the future looks like for the Colorado Rockies. The flashes that we got of Ezequiel Tovar last year especially were very exciting and made people happy to see the shortstop that has been heralded as the potential second coming of Troy Tulowitzki finally get his opportunity and prove some of those backers correct. The other storyline to follow in 2023 is the potential departure and perhaps the setting sun of the career of Rockies great Charlie Blackmon. This is his last season under contract with the Rockies, and it remains to be seen whether or not he's going to hang up the cleats after 2023 or decide to go to another team, which would be very weird. I think we can all agree that the idea of Charlie Blackmon playing on any other team is pretty weird and kind of bizarre to think about. I mean, imagine Charlie Blackmon in the Yankees organization shaving that entire beard off. I'm going to put my editor to the test, see what he can whip up for that image right here. Yeah, I know, it creeped me out too. But imagine Charlie Blackmon going to another team. I think it's more likely that this is going to be his last hurrah as part of the Major League Baseball complexion. This is a huge deal for Rockies fans. A stalwart of the team for the last 10 plus seasons, Blackmon has been one of the very few players to continuously stay a Rocky and prove that he belongs here and wants to be here. An all-star multiple times, one of the best center fielders in the game for a while, Blackmon has been a fan favorite for many a year, and it's going to be very sad to see him go. So anyone that still wants to be a Rockies fan and catch these games and just see what might be the last hurrah of Charlie Blackmon, please do. Don't let anybody take that away from you. Despite all the grumblings of people on Twitter, and myself included, enjoy what we can of a player of Charlie Blackmon's caliber. In my opinion, no question, on the pantheon, the Mount Rushmore of Colorado Rockies members, right beside Todd Helton, Larry Walker, Charlie Blackmon, and a debate for the fourth spot. Me personally, I'm going to go with Galarraga. Debate in the comments. But I digress. In addition to Charlie Blackmon leaving and the rise of the young superstars, the other biggest storyline to follow in this 2023 season is the rotation, specifically German Marquez, Kyle Freeland, Austin Gomber, the players that we think and we thought could be the backbone of a phenomenal pitching rotation for the Rockies, like what we saw in 2016, 17, 18. Are they going to come back to form? Just about all the Rockies pitchers regressed, some to a smaller degree than others, in 2022. Now, with Antonio Sensatella on the shelf, we'll have to see who steps in to be that fifth starter for the Rockies, but this is an opportunity for them to reinvent themselves. Again, in a season where they're not likely to contend, this is an opportunity for these starting pitchers to find their mechanics again and turn them back to what made them such effective players a couple years ago. Especially because if they don't, we might have to have a serious conversation about who's going to stay and be part of the future of the organization and who's not. Now, I'm as big a fan of any of these pitchers as you are. The Kyle Freelands, German Marquez's of the world were especially important as they helped guide the team to those back-to-back playoff appearances just a few years ago. But all of a sudden, we're starting to wonder if maybe this could be a shift. Is it time for the Rockies to cut their losses and start looking to some other arms in their organization? Or is it worth investing more time and resources into these guys to still get them where we knew they could be? I'm not ready to give up yet, personally. I think that these are still top flight arms. The Rockies have at least 2 or 3 or maybe even 4 pitchers who could be upper echelon pitchers in Major League Baseball if they can just get things back in order. But we definitely are in a turning point for them, and it'll be important to see who steps up and who can get back to form and who cannot. Finally, the very last storyline I think it's important for Rockies fans to check into is what exactly the front office is going to do. And what I mean by that is the last few trade deadlines have been very, very quiet. Obviously, no one was moved at last year's deadline beyond a Bard extension, and there were no big trades, no big additions, no big subtractions in this past offseason. So is this it? Is this as good as it gets for the Rockies? Are they content to stay where they are and let the players stay in the position that they're in? Well, maybe and maybe not. Now that Bill Schmidt has full reins, I think we can agree that Bill Schmidt was likely finishing up where his predecessor left off in the past year. Bill Schmidt now has full reins. While I agree that this past offseason was nothing to write home about, maybe he's got something else planned. Maybe Bill Schmidt says, okay, we have our pieces, we have our core for the future, we have the players that we want to build the team around. Once these last few contracts are off the books, we're going to change things up and we're going to make some big additions, maybe in free agency, maybe by cutting some of the players that they currently have and utilizing those spots for some prospects that might be returned in these deals. Who knows? I'm not promising anything crazy. I don't think there's going to be a monumental, titanic shifts in the way the Rockies construct their team. All I'm saying is I think this could be a year where something happens. The Chris Bryant deal is the most notable contract that the Rockies have given to a free agent in maybe ever in their history, beyond that disastrous Mike Hampton deal, which you all already know about, and I'm not getting into that with this video at all. But with the Chris Bryant deal potentially being a sign of things to come, are the Rockies willing to spend some money? Is it time for them to start actually paying out for top flight free agents in the either offseason or midseason trade deadline? Now, I recognize that none of these storylines, none of these reasons to go watch are going to set the world on fire. It's a hard sell for the casual baseball fan to hear something about a 21-year-old shortstop finally getting his big opportunity on a 94-loss team, and that being something to spend money on and go to the ballpark over. But I guess I want you all to know that it's still okay to be a fan. It's still alright to be a casual fan. It's also still alright to want more of the team, and to want them to be better than what they are currently. I guess what I mean is that it's tough to follow a team that has been so quiet and so mediocre recently, but if you do, that's all right. If you just enjoy the casual side of things, you just want to go to the game and have a beer and have a hot dog and enjoy that day's event, there's nothing wrong with that. At the same time, if you choose to abstain and you want to stay home and not spend your money and make a point to the ownership that you're not happy with how they've done things, that's also okay. I just think that we have to find our own ways to get excited for this upcoming season, this 30th year of Rockies history. It's a bit of a downer because I want there to be a playoff opportunity as much as you do. I want the Rockies to maybe get in just barely because of some 20-something win streak like they did in 2007. But I got to be realistic about it. These are the reasons that I've listed to follow the Rockies in 2023, and I hope you have your own too. Hopefully we can all find something to get excited about this season and make the 30th year of the Rockies as much fun as we can. I wish I had more for you, but that's all we can really hope for at this point. Thanks for checking me out. As always, I appreciate you tuning in. Follow us on purpleroad.com right here. This is where you can find all the news, updates, articles, links to everything Rockies related. As always, I thank my editor, Unknown Ballers. This is his Instagram right there. Check him out. He makes music, does video editing, and is an overall good dude. And of course, my name is Mac Wilcox. You can follow me on Twitter right here at MacWilcoxCBP. I appreciate any sort of engagement you guys get, and I appreciate you all tuning into this video and talking about Rockies baseball. Feel free to let me know what you think in the comments, and we'll see you all next time.